Good morning, friends. Sorry for bringing you such eerie, tragic news so early in the morning, but there's some breaking news from late last night. There was a rampage killing in Maine last night, and so far that we know of, there are 16 confirmed dead, possibly as many as 22 dead, and dozens more who have been injured. This all took place at a restaurant and bowling alley in Lewiston, Maine on Wednesday night. I will be posting pictures and the name of the suspect on here because there's an intensive manhunt underway right now. This man has not been captured. Lewiston is about 36 miles north of Portland. Now, I hear a lot of the news agencies saying that Lewiston is the second largest town in Maine or second largest city in Maine, referring to it potentially being a pretty large area. Lewiston, Maine only has about 30-something thousand people in it, so still a very, very small community. The suspect is Robert Card. He's a 40-year-old resident of Bowden. He's considered armed and dangerous. Law enforcement officials are saying that Card, who is a suspect, is a certified firearms instructor, as if that matters. I guess that means he's actually proficient with his weapon, and it seems like he may have been, actually, and that he is a member of the U.S. Army Reserve. They say Card had recently made threats to carry out a shooting at a National Guard facility in Saco, Maine, and also reported mental health issues, including hearing voices. This is the car that the suspect is allegedly driving, a small white SUV, they say with a front bumper believed to be painted black. This all took place about 7 p.m. Eastern Time up in Maine. Now, there were two crime scenes during this killing spree by this killer. The first being at Spare Time Recreation, which is a bowling alley on Mollison Way. Now, you'll notice that it looks like all the parking is in the rear of the facility. And from what I could tell, there looks to be two for sure entrances and exits to this facility, and potentially three. I can't really tell, but it looks like there's possibly three. Guaranteeing that in most cases, the two doors that we see to the right are probably office doors and not accessible to the public. So it looks like we may have had one point of entry and exit. And of course, if the killer was coming in through the main entry, that means there were almost zero for people to exit from. I don't see any side entrances like you usually see at some bowling alleys. The next location, which is actually pretty far away, I was a little bit surprised at this, and this may help investigators determine the motive a little bit, because this person took the pains to drive all the way across town to the southern part of Lewiston to this bar and grill. Now, that tells me that there may have been somebody there that this person wanted to do away with, or there's some kind of tie to this particular facility, because again, if you've already started your rampage killing on the north part of town, which is quite a distance away, why would you single out someplace on a 2-lane highway on the bottom southern end of town, far away from where you initially started? Definitely looks to be a less populated part of town, and go there to complete your rampage killing spree. So I do believe that you're going to find out that there were some connections somehow tied to this particular person and this place. The bowling alley, maybe not so much, because that's assumed to be a pretty heavily populated area. But this bar and grill does not look to be the hot spot. In fact, there's not even a sign out front, but that is, according to Google Maps, the location where this took place. I'd also like to point out, and again, I'm pointing these things out for people to be aware of whenever they enter into places, and be aware of your surroundings. You'll also notice that looks like there is only 3 entrances and exits to this building. And I would say 1 entryway, because it looks like the other 2 doors that you see on here are probably for faculty or staff, I should say. So likely these are not legitimate exit points for anyone else inside the facility. So it's very likely that the killer would have come in through the front door, which is probably the only point of exit for any of the patrons on the inside. So meaning 0 ways to exit the facility. Not saying that you could not find a way to get out, just saying, you know how some of you guys are and how I am, we're going to find a way. But nevertheless, the average person, you're probably looking at 0 points of exit. And that's not a good thing when you have something like this. My point in that is that we should be aware of our surroundings at all times, no matter how innocent and harmless the situation looks. Major point in all of this is that this killer is still on the loose. There are going to be lots of crazy things going on about this. Actually, the what's the chick's name from the Crazy Moms Against Guns? She's already come out about this, and this is before this person. I don't even think they knew who this person was at the time yet. The suspect that's on the loose right now, but she came out and said a bunch of stupid things before we even have any facts. In fact, right now we don't have any facts. So lobbing allegations at how this person acquired their weapons and anything like that is a little bit crazy. So the biggest point that I want to make, especially while all the dust settles on this, because a big thing's going to be made out of this. The wackos on the far left have been salivating for something like this for a long time. Let's remember, we haven't had a real rampage killing. I know they're classifying gang shootings and stuff like that as mass shootings. They don't care about that. They don't care about that. They care about them for accumulating numbers. They don't care about any of those people shot or the people shooting in those instances. This is what sells memberships. That's why Watts came out and said what she said on her mom's Crazy Moms Against Guns. Because this is a fundraising effort for them. Same goes for politicians. This is a big deal to them. You're going to see Susan Collins up in Maine and a lot of other people come out about this and start beating their chest about this. This is a big deal. This is a way to raise money for them. What I don't want to have happen is the guilt thrown onto the shoulders of us. That's what they try to do every time. That's the only way to convince people to take people's gun rights away, is you act on emotion alone. And by acting on emotion and getting other people to act on emotion, you get people to do stupid things that they wouldn't normally do, which is to lump everybody like us into the same category and make us all evil shooters like this person right here. If you're a gun owner, now they're going to say, if you were a certified firearm instructor, you could be evil too. Maybe you're the next rampage killer. That's what they do in all this. They start painting everybody with a broad brush who has nothing to do with any of this and are simply carrying firearms to defend themselves and their families. We cannot let them shed this guilt and put it on us. See the shirt I'm wearing? You should be proud to wear that. Not this shirt particularly, but you should be proud to wear your AR-15 shirt, your Second Amendment shirt. Don't let people shame you right now because emotions are high into hiding who you are and what you stand for, because that's what they want. Whenever they act on emotion, they get people to jump to their side and they get people to cower away from our side. Don't do that. Don't let them do that. They are doing that on purpose because that's how they get us. In some cases, they want that to be the goal, to be quiet, to not make any noise whenever they start shouting at the top of their lungs for more gun control and more bans. This guy clearly has an AR-15. They are going to call for a, quote, assault weapons ban. That's going to be loud and clear. I would encourage everybody to wear as many AR-15 t-shirts, baseball caps, bumper stickers that you can right now to enforce the fact that you're not going to turn this on us. You're not going to turn this on citizens who had nothing to do with a mass shooting, as you call them. We had nothing to do with this. Do not put this on me. Worry about the people this happened to. In fact, they're talking about all the things that this guy said, hearing voices and things like that. I'm not talking about red flag gun laws here when I say this, but did anybody think to talk to this guy? You obviously have people who knew what he was doing, what he was saying, and what he was threatening. Did nobody think to talk to him? Again, I'm not talking about kicking the man's door down at 2 a.m. in the morning and unconstitutionally confiscating his firearms. I'm talking about talking to the man. Did anybody approach this man and talk to him? Or is everybody sitting back there now going, oh yeah, he said he was going to shoot some things up? I would be willing to put more of the blame on those people. You were the first line of defense to be able to help somebody that possibly wouldn't have carried this out. Again, I make no implications about taking this man's firearms from him and making him defenseless. I'm talking about getting the man help. Hey man, you want to go down here and maybe talk to somebody. You know, if you're hearing these voices, I'm not hearing them. So let's go see if we can't get you some help. Whatever that help is, I don't know. That's not in my field, so I don't know what the next step would be. But the next step likely would not have been going to a bowling alley and a restaurant and shooting a bunch of people. But I want to repeat, guys, do not let them flip this on you. This is going to be a big deal. If upwards to 22 people were murdered, they are going to make a humongous deal out of this. Joe Biden will be on the air within hours of you watching this video, talking about assault weapons ban. Do not let them flip that. Do not let them shame you. Do not let them make you out to be the bad guy here, to where you're ashamed. You want to be quiet about your support for the Second Amendment and for firearms. Do not let them do that, guys. Be as loud and boisterous as you've always been. The facts are on your side, not theirs when it comes to these types of arguments. Screw their emotions. They can sit here and make money and fundraise off of emotions all they want. Do not let it affect you. Do not let it affect you. And let me tell you something. Making good people helpless, like you and I, will never make the world more harmless.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.